Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Heroes Group Roundtable with partner and sponsor Tabak Law Firm, LLC. It's Saturday, January 15th, 2022. January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. I am host Cliff Kelley, and of course my co-host is none other than Colonel Damon Arnold.
Hi, how are you, Cliff? And our executive producer is Glenda Smith. Our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega, Scouts Honor Productions. Today we have an esteemed person that is one of our partners, our roundtable with partner and sponsor Tabak Law Firm, LLC. And it's always a pleasure to have Monica Irelan Karas on the line with us. She is a veterans benefit attorney with Tabak Law Firm based out of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with offices located across the USA. I'm not only one of those people like the Hair Club member. I'm also a service recipient of their services, which is a fantastic place to call for your needs as a veteran. Also, today we have a discussion that's going to be talking about Blue Water, Green Water Act. And, until, this topic came up with Monica, I wasn't even aware of all these water footprints in the world and what blue water means and what green water means. Mm-hmm. So I am going to get an education today from Monica. How are you doing, Monica?
I'm wonderful. How are you all doing?
Doing great.
Good. It's nice to hear your voice, even though it's cold and chilly out there.
Yes, you must be in the northern climes like we are.
Yeah, it is not warm. So we were going to talk about the Blue Water, Green Water Act.
Yes.
And this is something that I find to be absolutely fascinating. And we didn't really think it was going to have very much effect on the appeals process the way we have seen it. So the Blue Water, Green Water Act went into effect, I want to say it was a full year ago now that it actually started to be applied. And it really applies to Navy veterans of the Vietnam era. And what had been happening was we had, and don't get me wrong, it applies to anybody that was on the ship. But essentially, we're seeing our Navy vets really see the impact of this. So during the Vietnam era that we had ships off the coast and ships in country in Vietnam, there was a longstanding rule as far as getting your benefits that if you were not what they call boots on the ground, you were not considered exposed to herbicide. So, and then they started to get a little bit more lenient over the years with what they call brown water. And brown water is the inland canals and the inland channels. So they started to be a little bit more lenient to our veterans if you were ever basically in country, in the inner channels, but still not boots on the ground. And so we have a lot of veterans that have Vietnam era exposure to Agent Orange that have not been connected for their disabilities based on what's called the presumption. So, there are certain disabilities that if you were exposed to Agent Orange, even if they develop now, they're considered a presumption. And if you can show, and typically you show through your DD-214 where you were, then you can get what's called the presumption, and you don't have to prove the service connection. The only thing you really have to prove is that you have a disability now. Some of those diseases are diabetes type 2, Parkinson's. There's a whole list if you go on VA's website. So this is something that what we have found is there are lots of veterans that filed for this claim some time ago, and they've just been waiting for their claim to come up in front of a hearing. And then when their time is to get in front of a judge, their case has been pending for years and years and years, and now they can file, and they've been being denied through the system because it didn't used to be a presumptive condition. So the rule is 12 nautical miles off the coast of Vietnam. So in addition to your DD-214, if you're what they call a blue water, green water vet, you have to show that you were within the 12 nautical miles. So in addition to your DD 214, if you're a veteran trying to prove blue water, green water, what you need to do is access the deck logs on your ship.
Okay.
Interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And certainly is. You have to be
So we're
12.
seeing a lot of these.
You are seeing a lot of them?
Yes, we are seeing a lot of these, a lot more than I would have anticipated. You know, I guess you like to think that people that have herbicide exposure, that they've been taken care of already by VA because, you know, we know what the chemicals do. We know which chemicals do what. So I didn't expect to see the influx of these that we're seeing. But maybe that was just being a little naive and not realizing how many vets we have out there that are in this position.
Yeah, you're saying that it takes such a long time that many of these veterans have had their claims in over maybe a decade, couple of more decades, right? Is that like posthumously? Are any benefits going to the families, to the survival spouse, or how does that work out if their claim is still there, and then they come up for their court date, but they've already passed on?
So you need to file numerous forms. One of those forms is a power of attorney form that shows that there's a new representative. And then there's another form that, I'm sorry, I don't know the number off the top of my head, that you also have to fill out in order to apply for benefits that have been pending. Depending on where your claim is in the pipeline, different things will be required. If you have a case that is at the board level, if you don't get those forms in before they kind of figure out that the veteran has died, and I'd say maybe 30 to 60 days thereafter, the board will dismiss your case. However, if you file the right documents, they put it back on the docket, and it's treated as though it never died, for lack of a better word. So you can kind of revive it, but you have to do it very timely, because if you don't, you can lose that claim. That is something that we're seeing, unfortunately, more and more. And it's just, par for the course with VA. Make sure you put it in on the right form, or they're going to deny it.
Oh, Does that mean survivors, can survivors benefit by this?
So the survivors that can benefit by this, there's a couple different groups of people. If you have minor children, or if you have a child that is your dependent, so if you have an adult child that has a disability, those people can benefit. Your surviving spouse can benefit. And if none of those people are around, then there's a possibility that your parents can benefit. Those are the only, so someone like me who, my father was a veteran who died, I don't qualify for any benefits because I'm not considered a dependent by VA standard.
Oh boy, yeah. That's
so really the people who really benefit for this is, especially as we talk about blue water, green water, and that age group is the surviving spouses.
Yeah, that's why the reason why I asked that too is that one of the things that was bothering me about this, Monica, is that the people who are getting these diseases like diabetes 2 and Parkinson's disease, these are not innocuous diseases, and they progress. So it's a much more of a chance of you succumbing to one of these diseases, especially with the progression of Parkinson's disease. At a younger age than normally you would see it. In people who are a little bit older. But this is something that I think really underscores why this is so. It's such an irresponsible thing for this not to be paid attention to in the VA system more seriously, because we just can't wait to people to pass away so we don't have to give that benefit to them. And I'm so glad that you and your team are out there, fighting for this, making sure that these veterans are compensated, because it has implications for, how well their family does, whether they can become employed, how they're employed, whether they're homeless. All these things play into this, and so kudos to you and your team about this. And so,
Thank you.
So the Blue Water Green Water Act, how do you think it's moving so far? Because you said it really went into effect last year. Do you see it moving in the right direction, or people are, coming forward for these claims?
I do, and people that are filing for any of the presumptives that have the disease and that have never filed before are being approved very quickly and getting their benefit very quickly. So to the VA's credit, that is getting done very quickly. However, if you're, what I'm seeing as an attorney and a practitioner is someone who's had a claim sitting out there for years, and until they were able to apply this act to their case, they were continuously denied. And now finally they're getting an approval. Now people like that have, maybe filed 5, 8 years ago, whatever, and they kept their claim going, that certainly is going to, it's going to turn into a large effective date payday for them. So I had a veteran recently who this was exactly his situation, and I believe he got $470,000 in back pay from the VA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a small amount.
No, that's good.
Yeah. So the people that have been fighting it for a long time, we're seeing really large back pay for them. So if you're one of those people and this has been sitting out there for years and it's not, you feel like it's not going anywhere, and you were a Navy veteran off the coast of Vietnam, give us a call. My number is 414-375-1642, 414-375-1642. I am in Milwaukee, but I do work all over the country. Our website is Tabak, Tabak, attorneys, ATTORNEYS.com. This is something that I can help with. This is something that I'm confident that if you came to me, I can at least help the process at this point go a little faster.
Okay, you want to give that phone number one more time?
Yeah, please.
Sure, 414-375-1642.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this, because, I was talking to some Vietnam veterans that I know just the other day, and I was just thinking about how important they were for this country, because right now we're going through some difficult times, of course, internally about democracy and the strife and, those things that, internal civil disturbance and all those kinds of things. But those are the people that gave us even the opportunity to have a capital to go to, right? And we should not be mistreating them. So I am so glad that you're out there to help our veterans who have gone through this and need to have that assistance in their lives right now. And this message goes out to other listeners who are listening. If you have someone that that was involved in the Vietnam War, or their spouses, and they have passed on, let them know what you're hearing, so that there is a way for them to actually get something done in a positive direction. Their service shouldn't go in vain. They served honorably. We should serve them honorably as well, as Tabak Law Firm is doing on their behalf. So it was 414-375-1642, Tabak Attorneys, TABAK, ATTORNEYS.com. What are the things that you see on the horizon, Monica? Because I know there's always a lot going on in your field.
Yeah.
And it's, legislation, all kinds of House bills and Senate bills, and we have a turmoil there. Hopefully that the congressional members are, quiet enough on both sides to pay attention to some of the legislation going through that's important for our veterans.
Yeah, as far as what I see on a daily basis, and as a practitioner, They are continuing to add presumptive conditions to the Agent Orange list. They added 3, I believe, last year, and the same thing goes with the Camp Lejeune Bad Water Act. There are people that we also are seeing that hopefully our veterans that were in Guam will get some benefits that they haven't previously been. That there's a bill that keeps going through and never making it through, but the people behind it are continuing to push it through, and that's another area that, the people who were exposed to herbicide, maybe not in Vietnam, but in Guam or even in Thailand. So we're seeing some good things on the horizon there. And then with our Gulf War era veterans, the Congress is starting to kind of unwind. We're going to see the same thing with the burn pit and the Gulf War era, unfortunately. We're going to and VA has been better with the Gulf War era veterans than the Vietnam era veterans with giving credence to their diseases. So I see those coming down. I see those being good things for our veterans, at least the disabled population, that there are, things that will make the fight a little bit easier.
Okay, yeah.
That's good.
And we have to have you back on because we're running out of time because you just brought up a topic that I think is really, because you've spoken about this before, but I think is really worth spending the time on it. The topic is making sure that veterans document. When you're in the service, make sure they're putting down what you're saying and making sure that your medical records are accurate. If you have a complaint, if something is going on and you got sick, got an injury, make sure you document it fully because that paperwork, when it comes to the desk of someone like an incredible, esteemed attorney like Monica Karas, it helps the case. You have to be able to make sure you have as much on file as you possibly can to support your claim.
Would you know, this is something that you may not know at the moment, but we'll be talking to you again anyway. But I would just like to know what percentage of your clients are Navy or Army?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I know that Army and Marine Corps make up the most of them, and then Navy and Air Force less so, and then Coast Guard a lot less so.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well,
So,
thank you.
yeah,
We just ran out of time, Monica. But we have got to have you back on. But thank you with our partner and sponsor, Tabak Law Firm LLC. You do a wonderful job for every veteran that we have out there that is blessed by picking up the phone, going onto the website. The 414-375-1642, tabakattorneys.com. Make sure you get your claims heard, and you heard about this, the Blue Water, Green Water Act, and how it applies to Vietnam veterans. Thank you. And we will be back shortly with more to go. Thank you, Monica.